This is Other Voices. We're listening to varied views from local people who might otherwise not be heard. I'm Melissa Hale Spencer, editor of the Altamont Enterprise, which focuses on Albany County, New York. Bethany Mazura has some advice. Find a thing you love to do and don't be afraid to put it out into the world, because you never know who's going to come calling and end up in your life. Mazura found something she loves to do, running. She started when she was depressed after a miscarriage. Her first experience running the Freihofer's 5K was not a good one. She tried again, preparing for the race and running with a group of women, and it was transformative. Mazura lives in Guilderland and tells us why she loves running the trails at Thacher Park. She sees running not as a solitary sport where the goal is to win, but rather as a social activity that is good for both the body and the spirit. I would just like to hear a little bit about how you started running.
Okay, so I guess technically I ran track in middle school.
Where did you go?
I grew up on Long Island, so sure.
And was your family like an athletic family?
Not at all.
No.
I tried every sport and was horrendous at all of them except for track. And then I found theater in high school, and I just totally gave up any sports and kind of went about my life with a I'm not into sports, I'm not athletic attitude. And then when I was 31, I was in 2008, I had a miscarriage, and I got really depressed. And a friend of mine, local friend of mine who I'd gone to college with, she said, hey, there's this Freihofer's run. It's for all women. It's really, it doesn't matter what your pace is. Why don't we train for it? It'll help you feel better. So I decided to do that. And I did it, and I ran it, and I absolutely hated it. I was like, this is the worst thing ever. Yeah.
But what a thing. Having been through a miscarriage myself, I know how upsetting that is.
Yeah.
And you decided to do something really physical and different. And that's quite a leap from...
Yeah, I think that I was feeling kind of at war with my body at that point in time. And I had been betrayed by my body, and I had gained some weight from, because it was a little bit later in the pregnancy. So I think maybe this was just a way to kind of
take control of your body.
Take control of my body again.
Yourself. Wow. But you hated that first run.
I hated it. I think that...
Was that a 5K?
It's a 5K, yeah. I think in retrospect, emotionally, it was difficult for me to be around all those women, many of whom were mothers. There's kind of a big component of that to the Freihofer's race.
So this was your first child that
yes,
you had? Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
And it was like super hot and humid, and I just felt slow. And I just kind of had a negative experience with it. So I said, that's it, I'm done. I did it. Life went on. I had 2 healthy children.
Yes, let's have that.
Yeah.
Happy ending. Okay.
And was just one of those people that would join the gym. You join the gym. I'm going to do the gym, right? And then it's like, I don't like the gym. You just keep paying them and you don't go. And I think my connection to fitness for most of my 20s and a good portion of my 30s was this, well, you got to do it because you got to lose weight, or, you got to correct this flaw. So it was very much like a kind of a negative thing. Like, you got to do it. We all got to do it. It's good for you, but we hate it, but we do it. So it never stuck for me. And then I was going through a divorce, and I had 2 small children. And again, boom, depression. Just, really... you go through all the things that you go through in those situations. And somewhere in the back of my mind bubbled up this idea of, well, what about that Freihofer's race? You did that once. It gave you a goal, gave you something to strive for. And so I decided to give it a shot again. And this was about 2013, I guess. And I started training for it. And it just so happened that I was in this moms group on Facebook, and a couple of the other women were like, would anyone want to do this Freihofer's race? I really want to do it. I haven't run since I had a kid. And so it ended up that there were a group of 5 or 6 of us, and we kind of virtually supported each other through training. And then we met up at the race and took pictures, and some of us ran together. We finished together. And this time around, just totally different experience. I really was there and present and enjoyed, 3,000 women, all ages, all different body types, all different skill levels. Loved how much crowd support there is. So many,
and a lot of men in the crowd cheering for women.
My kids were there. My kids were quite young. They were in a wagon with their babysitter in Washington Park, and it was all people's kids and husbands and partners, and it was a really great atmosphere. So I really kind of fell in love with it from there.
And did it have to do with being part of this group?
Yes.
Was that part of it?
Yeah, it was definitely the communal aspect of it, the community aspect. And that became kind of oh, wait, this is something that could be more about community. Shortly.
So it's not a sense of running to win. It's a sense
No, definitely not for me.
It's running to be part of something bigger, or?
Yeah, it's running. The thing about running is it's very personal, but it's also very communal. So you're running to better yourself. Maybe it's just to get across the finish line, but that's a huge goal. Maybe it's to beat your last time at this race, which could be something considerably, quote unquote, slow. It doesn't matter. But then you're also supporting all these other people that are trying to achieve their goals, and they're supporting you, and no one's really looking at each other and thinking, oh, that person, what are they doing here? It's a very supportive atmosphere. And from there, I kind of, I learned about this race called the Ragnar Relay. A friend of mine had posted about it on Facebook. I was like, what is this thing? And that is a 200-mile relay that you do with, I think it's 12 people. And you're stuck in these vans, and you run these different legs.
I just have to understand the logistics of it. It's called the Ragnar Relay.
Yes.
And is it something that's located in one place, or is it like a concept?
So there's ones all over the country,
Okay.
and they just stopped doing it, unfortunately. They used to have one in the Adirondacks. You'd start in Saratoga and end in Lake Placid.
Oh.
So
wow.
it's like...
I've driven that on the Northway. I can't imagine
Right,
running.
Exactly.
So you go in, just logistically, how does that work?
Logistically, it's 12 people on a team. You each have 3 different legs that are assigned to you, including one that's overnight. You're split into 2 vans. You sleep in the vans, you drive along, someone's running, you meet them at the next checkpoint, you hand it off, and you keep going. Nobody sleeps, really. It's just this crazy, you camp out, but there's really no way to sleep, and you complete the whole 200 miles as a team, and you cross the finish line together.
So you must get very close to those. Are they women that you do this with, or mixed group?
Mixed group.
And how do you get together, the 12 of you? How do you
So
find
someone
each
has
other?
to be a captain. So I decided to be the captain, which was insane because I'd run like maybe 2 5Ks, didn't know anything about running.
Well, so why did you step up to the captain role?
I wanted to do it, and I was like, well, if it's a thing that I want to do, then I'll just be the one to get the ball rolling. And I was able to coerce some friends into joining me, some who were runners, some who were not, and we organized the whole thing and made it happen. And that was, again, it was about community. I was like, oh, it doesn't have to be this solitary thing where I'm trash talking myself through the whole time. I could just be with other people, and we can all support each other.
Does that have a history that we should know about? Is there a person named Ragnar?
I don't know. I think there's like a Norse god or Viking or something.
Okay.
And that's who the race series is named after. And it is a big event that's held all across the country.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so have you done other large races?
Yeah, so since then I've done all distances up through. I've done marathon, I've done ultramarathons, which is anything more than 26.2. Trail races. I run a lot with the Albany Running Exchange here in Albany. That's that's really been my lifeline. I kind of through someone that was on my Ragnar team, he was like, you should check out this group. They're really cool. They're really accepting of all levels of people's experience, and they're weird, but they're fun. And I was like, oh, fun weirdos. That's my jam. So I started to kind of go to their runs, and then I went to this trail running camp that they hold in the Adirondacks.
Whereabouts in the Adirondacks?
It's at it's kind of in Warrensburg, in that area. So it's at Camp Dippical up there. It's associated with SUNY. So it's held every July. It's for 4 days. It's adult running camp. We do running, we do yoga, swimming, hiking, you name it. And
all-around workout.
All-around workout, but also you don't have to do any of it. You can nap, and you can have a beer and have a glass of wine by the lake, and So it's a combination of all that, and it ends in a 5-mile race up a mountain.
So tell us about trail running and what do you wear on your feet?
Trail running shoes. They do make shoes for trail running. They have better grips on the bottom, and it kind of depends on what the terrain is. But they're usually, they're not as cushiony as road running shoes, and they just have better grip
because I've done a lot of hiking, not running, and there's just not just the boulders in the mud, but the bushwhacking and I can't imagine running through that.
We've got some good trails around here. You don't have to bushwhack necessarily, but I run a lot at Thacher Park, and when you're trail running, you're hiking. You're hiking a bit of it. You're never just running the whole thing. You're hiking up the hills.
But what beckons you, as opposed to just running on a flat surface, to do it up a mountain or on a trail? What is the motivation
I think it's being out in the nature of it. You're really out. We've got some beautiful areas around here. Pretty lucky where we live. So there's something very different about running on a trail.
I've read all kinds of studies.
Much more spiritual. I'm not religious, but there is a spiritual component to that. And
your blood pressure goes down in nature.
Absolutely.
But most of us walk on the trails, not run.
It's really exhilarating and exciting. It's kind of bringing you back to your roots as a human being to go through that. And the trail running community is incredibly supportive. We're all crazy. People, I run 31-mile races. You got to be a little nuts to do that.
But just tell us how you fit this in with the rest of your life. You have 2 young children. You're a lawyer.
Yes.
A full-time job with a state. Just describe a typical week when you're training for one of these.
When I'm training for an ultra. So. It takes a lot of planning. When I didn't have a partner, now I'm engaged and I have another full-time parent, so it's incredibly helpful. Thank you. But for many years I didn't, and I hired a lot of babysitters, and I would plan out, this is my 6-month training plan. These are the dates I know I need babysitters, and I would email my babysitter with a page long of dates. Can you do these dates? And then I would fill in with friends where she couldn't do it. And it's a lot of, I have my kids every other week, so I hired a coach because I was like, I cannot, for a marathon I was able to get it done on my own, but I knew for a longer race I was like, I can't figure this out. So I've been hiring a coach, Dick Vincent, who's a local wonderful coach. He tells me, this is what your schedule is. And he knows every other week I have my kids. So we're jamming the longest runs into the weekends that I don't have them. And it just takes planning, and it takes not feeling guilty leaving them for 2 to 3 hours on a weekend to just be out on the trails. And it turned out that I did feel guilty, of course, but at the end of it, when it was over, they looked at me and they were like, why don't we have a babysitter anymore every weekend? They were like, go away. So I was like,
they got used
I guess
to
you're fine.
And I saw, we had a picture, which we're running in the story, our next edition, where they're there with you at the race, so they must cheer you on.
They cheer me on. They also both run. They're 7 and 9.5. I'd have to say the half for Reese. And they have both run 5Ks.
Oh, so do you work out together?
We will sometimes, yeah.
So what's that like?
It's interesting.
It depends on up with you.
Well, it depends on which one I'm with. Sebastian, who's my 7-year-old, beats me. He ran his first trail 5K this year, and he would not run near me, and he beat me handily. Like, was nowhere near me. I was asking my friends who were volunteering on the course, did you see my son go by? Is he bloody? And they were like, no, he's fine. I'm like, good, keep going. And my 9-year-old, he's more like my speed, and he goes in bursts, and then we walk a little bit, and then bursts and walk a little bit, and he will complain a little more, but then he feels good at the end, and he's like, I did it. So we're running. There's a race in Altamont tomorrow for Leap Day. We're all running that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So running together. I mean, I just think that, tell me what that does for your family dynamics.
It's really amazing for our family dynamics. My ex-husband's also a runner, and we've all run races together. Like, there's me and our eldest son and my ex-husband, like, crossing the finish line together. You know, it just kind of takes away all the barriers. We're all just there to support each other, and, you know,
I used to hike with my family, the Adirondack 46 Peaks, and it was always a thing of like how you almost sometimes changed roles, looking out for each other on the trail. And I can imagine it would be the same in running.
It is, you know, and it brings out their different personalities. Like my youngest son just taking off and being his own. He doesn't want anyone around him babying him. No, that's Sebastian.
Okay.
And Reese wants to be with one of us, and he wants to, you know, talk and chat away and just enjoy being out there. And
that's good.
Yeah. So it's a very positive, you know, behavior and habit for them to have, and it's good.
And I know that you are in this slow AF run, and I am so out of it. My coworkers had a huge laugh.
I said, didn't know what it was.
Stand for? I don't know if we're going to say it on the podcast, but it's S as the F word.
Yes.
So tell me about that. So you're obviously enjoying the experience as well as doing superhuman things with these long races, but it's not about being the fastest.
No, not at all. I am very slow. So the Slow AF Run Club started, there's a runner named Martinez Evans, 300 pounds in running is his handle on social media. And he started this kind of movement group called...
Well, I just have to let our listeners know you are not 300 pounds.
No.
You look very svelte.
No, but he is. Yeah. And he owns it. And it's not a weight loss journey for him. It's really about people in all different bodies can move and can be athletes and can be runners and can be healthy. It's not necessarily like you have to look a certain way. So he actually started this app. I think the app only launched maybe 2 months ago, but I've been following him and known him for a while. And he asked me to be moderator for the run club, and it just blew up. I mean, we have over 2,000 people, and it's like every day there's new people. It's hit definitely a nerve. There's just this pocket of people that have felt overlooked by the running community, and I think community at large. So he started this club and asked me to help him out. So we're all over the country and the world. I mean, there's a guy from Russia on there that I was talking to today.
So what does the job of moderator?
I keep the conversation rolling, post questions and try and post meetups or where's everybody racing. And then also we kind of police the page and make sure that we don't get people on there spamming or trolling us. We've been pretty lucky so far with that. We've only had like one person so far. But we kind of alert. And there's now like 4 moderators because I was like, I can't handle this. It blew up so much that both me and Martinez were like, whoa, we need to bring more people in now.
But isn't that exciting?
It's very exciting. And it's the beginning of a bigger movement, I think. You know, there's quite a number of really good people out there doing this work of, promoting different body types, and that you can still get out, you can still move, you can still do these things, and you don't need to be fast, and you don't need to look this way to be healthy.
But doesn't running those long distances take a toll on your body?
Sure.
Isn't that...
Not everybody's running the crazy distances I am.
Yeah.
And also, it absolutely does. Like this year, I did 3 years in a row. I ran my first marathon, Marine Corps marathon, then I ran 2 ultras. So that was like 3 years in a row.
Oh, my goodness.
And after the last ultra in September, I was destroyed. Like, my body was just like, you're done with this for a while. So I am on a break. I am only doing half marathons and shorter this year, partially because of the wedding and honeymoon and all of that. But I just was like, wow, I really need to dial it back.
So is your fiancé a runner?
He is.
Is the wedding, are you going to be doing anything running related?
Probably, yeah. We're going to probably make everyone run a 5K.
Is that
the day
true?
before, yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
And
where is the wedding?
It's in a maybe historical site in Rotterdam. It's part of the Schenectady, Historical Society. It's just like a big barn, and
so there's plenty of space around it that people can go.
Well, we're going to figure that part out. We might run from there to Druthers and then have our like pre-wedding dinner, and we'll have some running themed things in the wedding. But when we met, he was running like a 2-mile loop around his house. He had completely shifted his life after his divorce and he became vegan and was exercising a lot, lost like a ton of weight. And but he was running this 2-mile loop, and he said to me, I'll never run more than this. I'll never run a 5K. It was our first date. And now he's run up to 30K. He's run 18-mile races. He's run more half marathons than I have.
Have you run races together?
We do.
And
Yeah.
how does that work?
So 2 or 3 races a year, he drops back to my speed. He drops back to my turtle pace, and we cross the finish line together, and we just have a nice run. Like Albany last run, we always run together through the Christmas lights. And then other races, we go and we are at the starting line together, and then we see each other at the end, and yeah.
Well, and one of the things, too, in listening to you, it seems like you are always stepping up to a leadership role. I mean, captaining this first 12, part relay and then jumping in to be the moderator on this website. Just tell me a little about your personality, how you got that way.
Yeah, I think I've always kind of been like that. I tend to be very type A and kind of outgoing as a lawyer,
So what is your law work?
I work at the Office of Mental Health, and I do litigation there. So all types of things, litigation having to do with mental health. Before that, for 15 years, I worked in special ed. I was a special ed attorney. So
wow.
Yeah.
So that in itself must be like a marathon, because you're working for people that really need you and don't necessarily have the wherewithal to look out for their own interests.
Yeah.
So
it's just kind of
exhausting work.
It's kind of my nature. Yeah, and a lot of it.
Where did that come from?
My mother.
Tell me about your mother.
My mother is very strong, very outspoken. Fought for herself. I mean, she was divorced. When I was 3, they divorced. So, early 80s, she had no college education, had to go into the workforce and raise 2 kids in a time when that was really difficult. So, just kind of grew up with that. Got her college degree when she was in her 40s. And now she's like she lives in Virginia. She's super involved in local politics, and she's always stepped into leadership roles. She formed this young birders club in Virginia.
Birders, watching
birds. And that turned into this huge thing. She's never shied away from taking on roles like that. And a lot of it for me is self-preservation. It's just like, I want to do this thing. I wanted to run a marathon. I trained for it, and I trained largely by myself. And I was like, this is terrible. So the next year, I was like, I'm going to do an ultra. I better find some people to run with. And so I just started posting on the Albany Running Exchange calendar, like group runs. I'm like, please come if you're slow and don't have a lot of experience. And I met my best friends in the world. We're all really close. We run all the time together. If someone's kid is sick, we're at the hospital helping them. And that just grew out of me being like, I don't want to do this alone. So I better just put it out there. If you put it out there.
So it's like a combination of the modern internet being able to hook you up with people that you might not otherwise find, as well as this kind of old-fashioned grit you got from your mother that
Yes.
just propels you forward. So on your training sessions, you're saying the schedule with a babysitter. Are those things you do on your own, or you meet up with these friends and do the training together?
It depends. So we have like a group chat, and we'll just be like, who's running what this weekend? And then we'll try and like coordinate and hook up. And
you live near each other? So
we all live fairly near each other, yeah. And we're actually we have a monthly brunch run, and so we're having that tomorrow. And we're all going to get together, and it's like, okay, who's bringing kids, who's going to watch the kids, who's running, who's bringing what for food. And
I know Guilderland, where you live, is on the verge of having a big confab on trails in town. Are there certain trails you like in Guilderland, or places that you like to run there?
I run a lot at Thacher. So I don't know if that's technically Guilderland. I think
it overlooks
Voorheesville. I run in the Pine Bush a ton. I live a half mile from the Pine Bush. In fact, the house me and my fiancé bought last year, we bought it largely because you can run to the trailhead from there and then run the trails in there. So yeah, that's people meet at my house and we can run there. I've had people text me and be like, can I go in your garage? It's raining. I got stuck out on a run. I'm like, yep, here's the code.
But what do you do in the winter?
In the winter, I just do roads. Yeah, I don't really go out on trails in the winter. Yeah. And so, in winter, we do a lot of loops at SUNY. They have a 5K loop that goes around, and it's always cleared.
Oh, and is that open to the public?
It's open to the public. They keep it cleared. It's lighted. It has blue boxes, and there's patrols. So it's very safe. Yeah. We have a women's group that meets every other Wednesday at SUNY. It's called SOAR. And it stands for something I can't remember. My dear friend Karen runs it. And it's all paces, no drop, which means nobody is left last. I actually run the party caboose of that. So I make sure I'm behind the last person. And we go all through winter.
So is safety a concern?
Safety is definitely a concern when running roads more than anything. I mean, it is on trail because you could be alone. But definitely on roads in winter. Cars, lighting, all of that's a concern.
Well, our time has gone so fast. Do you have any closing thoughts that you'd like to leave our listeners with?
No, I guess just find a thing you love to do and don't be afraid to put it out into the world because you never know. You never know who's going to come calling and end up in your life. A lot of times we're afraid people are going to say no or not come or not show up. And that might be the case, but people might also show up.
For anything, not just running, but for anything.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me.